What's up YouTube, Gemini Johnny back again with another episode of Sunday Scaries, where I take you through the internet's weirdest, creepiest, and most bizarre unexplained scary stories. Today we're going to jump back into the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit. If you enjoy this storytelling format, be sure and check out the entire Sunday Scaries playlist in the description below. And without further ado, let's jump right in to the first story titled, Me and My Daughter Witnessed Something Surreal and Unexplainable Today. For a few weeks before this, while out driving, I've observed pedestrians standing at the traffic lights who will reach into their pocket and look at their phone as they're walking across the road when the light goes green. Nothing significant or strange about this, just one of those mundane things you notice while going about your day. Today I was driving with my daughter and we stopped at a red light at a crossing and there was a man standing there. Nothing out of the ordinary, denim jacket, black cap, glasses, around 6'2". I thought I'd try to weird out my young daughter. She's 5, so I knew I was going to blow her damn mind. So I said, "See that man? When the walking man goes green and he starts to walk across, he'll reach into his pocket and pull out his phone and start looking at it. Watch and see." As he walks across, he reaches into his pocket but then immediately takes his hand out and looks and points right at me with his mouth open, smiling, like a gotcha stance. Of course, my daughter found this absolutely hilarious and I sat there completely mind blown. I must have sat there in silence looking at him walk across for the next 10 seconds. I drove on and had a look at him as I drove past and he was smirking/laughing. I've been playing it through my head all day. The windows were up. The radio was on. I wasn't shouting. My voice was not even remotely raised. He must have been about 15 to 20 feet away from me. I can't figure out at all how he could have heard me. It's literally impossible. How did he know I was trying to predict he'd reach into his pocket for his phone? The only even remote possibility I can think of is that he had the same observation as me and thought I might be thinking the same thing, so just went for it. But realistically, what are even the chances of this? Whoa. So that's crazy. Was that dude a telepath? Or maybe that was her CIA handler? Or maybe he was just a background actor and he was onto her, not playing with her games. Life's a stage, right? That would be crazy if we're all in the Truman Show. It is kind of funny, but also really creepy to think about a dude just walking along and then being like, "Ah, gotcha." They should roll down their window and be like, "Hey, what was that? Why'd you do that?" What do you guys think? I mean, I guess the most likely thing is that he probably just heard her. Like, she didn't realize. Maybe her window was cracked and she didn't realize it. Because that's something I would do. If I heard somebody talking about me, like predicting what I was going to do next, I would totally play into it and probably do something exactly like that. It's like a fun, consequenceless, is that a word? Way to mess with someone. That person's going to wonder about that for the rest of their life. And they're never going to have an answer. It's a victimless crime. This next one's good. You know I love a story with a dog in it. Get ready for, I'm still shitting my pants over this. Love the internet. About 30 seconds ago, I was sitting on the couch as my dog walked by to go sit on her bed we have behind the L part of the sectional. She had something small caught in her throat last night, I think a popcorn shell, so I was paying attention to her breathing just to make sure she got it out. Side note, don't be giving your dog popcorn. For a few minutes, she was breathing fine, and then what sounded like a light snore started happening. This is semi-normal for her depending on what position she's laying in, so I didn't bother to go over and check on her. That went on for about 5 minutes until the most disgusting, and to my now realization, terrifying, snore, cough, wheezing sound started happening. I go over to her to make sure she's okay, and the exact moment I looked at her bed, the sound stopped, mid-breath, and she wasn't there. She was outside with my parents. Had been for around 30 minutes. There's no way to get out of the room without walking right past me. I don't know whose f***ing dog I saw and what was making that creepy ass sound 5 feet away from me, but I'm going to be staying outside for the rest of the day and hiring an exorcist. Can you hire an exorcist? I don't think you can just pay them. I know he's joking, but that's crazy. I would pet a ghost dog, doppelganger dog. I'll be their friend. I don't care. Yeah, they'd get me for sure because I would want to be their friend. Yeah, wild stuff. I'd freak out and probably wouldn't want to go in that house anymore. That's just me. This next one is kind of a glitch in the matrix, maybe a alternate timeline, alternate universe, alternate reality. I don't really know, but it's a little bit longer and it's really good. So get ready for, he thinks we both died. I'd like to preface this by saying my husband is an electrical engineer and I'm a teacher. We're not crazy people. So back when my husband and I were dating, my husband was in a terrible car crash. His truck hit black ice and he slid into oncoming traffic. His truck was completely totaled. So was the other truck he hit. The weird thing is though, both he and the other guy were completely fine. Not a scratch on them. All my husband had was a bruise on his knee. The first responders were baffled. as was the towing company, and insurance when they realized no one had died was severely injured. Fast forward to a few days after the crash, my husband comes over to my apartment. We're having a conversation about a university class we're both in, and he casually asks when I got the flat screen TV sitting on my dresser. At this point, I'm very confused, because I've had the little flat screen since I was 13, and had had it the entire year and a bit that we'd been dating. I asked him what he's talking about, as I've always had that TV. He told me to quit pulling his leg and asked me what I did with the old tube TV. I had no idea what he was talking about, and told him so. He's convinced I had a tube TV. I proceed to get on Facebook and showed him a picture we had taken 2 weeks prior with the TV in the background. It's a flat screen in the picture. My husband goes white like he's seen a ghost and just stares into space for a minute. His eyes started to water. I asked him what's wrong and he said, "I swear to God, I'm not crazy. You've had a tube TV since we started dating. It was a tube TV when we took that picture." I brushed it off as his head being rattled from the accident, and he didn't bring it up again. However, anytime we hung out in my room, he'd always look at the TV weird. Fast forward 7 years. My husband and I have been married for a few years and decide that we're ready to be parents. I'm not on birth control, and we decide whatever happens, happens. We're not actively trying, but not preventing it either. So we're on vacation in Italy, wandering around Rome, and I feel like shit. I had had my period the week before, and it was the worst one I had had in my whole life. As we're walking around, I'm suffering from back pain, chills, and horrific cramping. I go to the bathroom in a cafe and hurl my guts out, have diarrhea, and realize I am menstruating. Heavily. Obviously, I'm weirded out since I had just had my period the week before. I clean myself up, go back to my husband, and tell him I think I need a doctor. I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but this is insane. It's getting to the point I'm having trouble walking, and I'm starting to feel pain in my shoulders. I don't want to ruin our vacation, but I'm starting to really worry. My husband is smarter than me, sees the state I'm in, and says I'm visibly paler than when I went into the bathroom, and gets me help. 20 minutes later, I'm on a stretcher and being taken to the hospital. An hour after that, I'm being prepped for emergency surgery as doctor tells me I have a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I have heavy internal bleeding, and if he doesn't perform surgery, I'm going to die. 6 hours later, I wake up very sore and tired. Doctor tells me I'm very lucky, and if I had waited any longer to seek medical attention, I'd be dead. Husband stays with me in the hospital for the first night, then gets a hotel for the rest of my stay. A week later, we're cleared to fly home, and I go through a grueling month of healing from the surgery. 2 months after I return, somehow my husband and I get on the topic of fires, and he goes on about the dangers of kitchen fires, and I say, "No need to worry, we're all set with the extinguisher in the closet." He looks at me like I have 3 heads and asks me what I'm talking about. I remind him about the extinguisher in the front closet where we keep the coats. We've had it for 3 years. He insisted we buy one when we bought our house. My husband shakes his head and tells me he has no idea what I'm talking about, and we don't have a fire extinguisher. I remind him about not only my memories of fighting about if we really needed one, where to put it, buying it from Home Depot, but also installing it to the wall in the closet. He looks at me with confusion and tells me none of that happened. I get up, go to the front closet to show it to him, all the while cursing him for being an asshole for forgetting our 2-week fight about it, and lo and behold, no extinguisher. Not only is there no extinguisher, there's no holes in the wall where I know we installed it. No fresh paint, this wall has never been touched. I insist he's moved it and fixed the wall and ask why the f he would play such a stupid prank. He continues to insist that we've never had one, let alone talked about getting one. This goes on for several minutes. I'm approaching hysterics, telling him to quit playing with me when he finally says, "Now you know how I feel about that TV." We didn't speak about it for a long time. Then after I found this thread, he brought up his theory that perhaps in another timeline, dimension, whatever you want to call it, we both actually died and we reset like a video game, and the TV and extinguisher are glitches. I don't know if I agree with him. All I know is that I have never been so rattled in my whole life, and every time I get something out of the closet, I'm overwhelmed with this feeling of wrongness. I know it should be there, but somehow, it's just not. I can't explain it. He says he will go to his grave swearing I had a tube TV. Dang! Man, if I had like glitch after glitch like that, I wouldn't know what to think. Like if I woke up one day and my water bottle was all of a sudden red, or any other color for that matter, maybe even not that serious, but if one of the stickers was moved, I would trip out, dude. Wonder if they checked like credit card purchases. Can you go back and see if there was a Home Depot purchase? Or do you have a Home Depot account? Maybe you can go look at your purchases. Yeah, weird that they both like experienced something that was like so mundane, but really different. Man, what a trip. One commenter said, "After my death and subsequent resuscitation, I came back to a world where many things were different than I remembered them. I fully believe in quantum immortality. In the event the body is too damaged to be saved, your consciousness jumps to the nearest available reality and combines memories, which would also explain déjà vu. interesting take. Blah, blah, blah. The Bible's written in allegory. Blah, blah, blah. God is within us. Blah, blah, blah. Something, something. Now this next one's cool because it sounds like not only did this person see a glitch, but the glitch saw her too. So are you ready for? I think I saw future me, and she saw me too. We're not solving cases. Sorry, real quick. I always forget that Mariska Hargitay is Jane Mansfield's daughter. She also has a brother named Zoltan. Zoltan.
Zoltan! Zoltan! Zoltan!
Only true dude, where's my car at heads will know what we'll get that reference. Alright. I think I saw future me, and she saw me too. This happened yesterday, and it still makes me uncomfortable. I was at the train station, on my way back from work, when I saw a couple. What drew my attention was the fact that they were speaking my language, so I looked at them. The woman was built and looked exactly like me. And I don't have a very common appearance for the country I live in, but about a decade older. And the man was an aged carbon copy of my current boyfriend. But what really set my creepy radar off was the following. She had the tattoo I always wanted to get, exactly where I wanted to get it. And it's a very personal design, only my best friend knows about, so not a common tattoo. He was speaking my native language with a very distinctive accent of his home country, which is similar but not the same as the way people from the country we live in speak my language. So I looked at them when they were facing the other way, feeling extremely creeped out. It was then that the woman turned around and saw me, freezing instantly as if she had seen a ghost. Then I finally managed to look away and run towards the exit. I really feel like I'm going insane here. It was as if I remembered that exact moment and knew exactly when and where to look for me. I didn't tell anyone because I don't want them to think I'm completely nuts. Crazy. Yeah, you always hear doppelganger stories about they look just like you, but just a little bit creepy. You never really hear about them being a little bit older than you. I wouldn't mind seeing a 10 years older version of me. I'd like to see how it's looking, you know? Hopefully I look like I'm taking care of myself. Imagine seeing a future you and they're just like haggard looking. They look real rough. You're like, oh my God, what happens to me in the next 10 years? I've never seen a doppelganger or anything like that. That would be wild. But I did one time. I was standing in line for a roller coaster and there was a couple of like teenage boys in front of me. I was like, I don't know. I was probably 7 or 8. And when I was a kid, I went by my initials, JK. That was my nickname. That's what everybody called me when I was a kid, JK. And when texting started getting more popular and shorthand started becoming more used, every time I would introduce myself, people would say, oh, like just kidding? It would be really frustrating. So I started going by Jonathan again, or Johnny. And I'm standing in line next to this kid, and I keep hearing one of them say my name. Say, JK, oh, JK, oh, hey, JK, this, oh, hey, JK, this. I don't remember what they were talking about. And I was like, finally, and I was standing with my mom, and I was looking at her. She was looking at me, and she was like, do you know them? I was like, I don't know them. And finally, I asked them, I was like, are you talking to me? He was like, and they were like, I don't know you, kid. They kicked me. No. They were like, no, I'm talking to my friend here, JK. And I was like, well, your name's JK? My name's JK. Then they asked me what it stands for. And it turns out we have the same exact name. It's crazy. Probably a little bit crazier at the time than it is me retelling the story. I guess it's not that crazy. But definitely a little bit crazier to a 7 or 8-year-old boy's mind than it is to me. Like retelling that story however many years later now. But yeah, wild stuff. Have you ever met yourself? Let me know in the comments. Now this final story is from someone who experienced a glitch as a third party. Are you ready for? I think I just became the background character for another person's glitch? This technically happened last night, but I was just starting a graveyard shift and I'm only now getting it all down. I work at a gas station with only numbers in its name. We're just outside of a large chunk of suburbs. None of that middle of nowhere, like we aren't exactly near any other businesses, but we are rarely completely dead for hours at a time. It was just past midnight, and with everything going on in the US right now, not a lot of things other than gas stations and bars are open at night anymore, so it was a slower evening. I was the only one in the store and a car pulled up to one of the 2 double-sided pumps out front. Pretty standard white 4-door. I'm not great with car brands, but it was a little nicer, like upper middle class and probably only a few years old. A woman gets out and starts walking towards our door like she's in a daze. Legit, this woman looked like she saw a ghost. She wanders up, sort of freezes at the door for a second, with a 1,000-yard stare before opening it and coming in. She didn't go looking for anything, didn't start shopping, just sort of stood inside for what felt like ages. Again, bars are still open, so I think maybe she's a little drunk or had a rough night or something, so I give the usual, welcome to the gas station. Let me know if you need any help finding anything. And she finally notices me and immediately asks me the weirdest damn question I've ever been asked on the job. You can see me, right? Yeah. Like, what else do you say? She breaks down crying in the middle of my store, so I'm already headed around the corner to see what's up. I have my cell phone out in case I need to call the cops or something for her. I get her to sit down on a nearby pallet of soda and I'm grabbing her a bottle of water, and after she catches her breath a little, she tells me, I thought I had died. Again, I'm thinking maybe she's on something, but she's a middle-aged woman who looks like a standard local suburban housewife. We're a pretty boring township without your average junkies like you'd find closer to the cities. So she asks if she can call her husband to pick her up and wait with me. She has her own phone and does so, not really telling him anything either, just where she is at and if he can come get her. He says he'll call an Uber and be there as soon as possible. We're waiting. So far nobody else has showed up, so I'm keeping most of my attention on her, and eventually she starts to explain to me. I was driving home from dinner with my coworkers, and as I'm driving through a nearby intersection I recognized, a truck ran a red light and hit me. Now her car is still at the pump without a scratch on it. She goes on to say she remembers her car being pushed into a pole, going airborne, and then nothing. I tried to calm her down, letting her know that her car is out front and it looks fine. But she insisted that she completely blacked out, woke up in an ambulance for a split second, passed out again, and then woke up again in the driver's seat of her car, at the intersection waiting for the light to change, perfectly fine. This whole thing freaked her out so badly that she drove to the nearest anything, us, just so she could get out of the car. Husband eventually showed up to get her. He asked if I had any idea what happened, and even though she sort of explained to me, I just shrugged. Because no, I had no idea what was happening anymore. She reluctantly got into the passenger seat of the car, and he drove them back home. That was hours ago, after which I worked an entire shift at the station trying to wrap my head around what the absolute hell I had just witnessed. Whoa, that's a crazy one. And that's why I don't work at 7-Eleven. Never know what kind of craziness you're gonna run into. No, but on a serious note, wild stuff. A lot of these just sound like quantum immortality, like people just glitched into another reality, you know? I think quantum immortality could be real. I know this isn't a conspiracies episode, but quantum physics is crazy. You heard it here first. Quantum physics is crazy. There you have it, folks. That is another episode of Sunday Scaries in the books. We did it. We done it. We're doing it some more. If you enjoyed this kind of content, be sure and check out the entire Sunday Scaries playlist in the description below. You can also find a link to Audible for a free 30-day trial. And check it out, get a free audiobook. It's tight. I get $5. It's no big deal. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure and check out my Creepy TikToks reaction series or my Conspiracy Theories reaction series. I drop new videos Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays, all at 4:15 p.m. PST, where I'm always in the chat for the premiere, so come join and hang out and talk to me. Say hi. Say what's good, bruh. Yeah, merch store's down there. You guys know how that works. I won't bore you with that. And until next time, stay creepy.